Good evening, Leos. Before we dive into the topic, I'm already asking for that support as always. Hit the like button down below, it really helps our work. And if possible, drop a comment. Go Lions. Now, let's get started. What happened last night in Baltimore will be talked about for a long time because the Detroit Lions didn't just win, they dismantled the Ravens in a way that felt like a statement to the entire league. When you watch a team come in with this kind of energy, this level of preparation, and execute in all phases the way Detroit did, you realize this isn't just another good Sunday. This was one of those games that fans will point back to as proof that this team is different, that this franchise is evolving into a contender with no ceiling in sight. And if you think I'm exaggerating, stick with me because when you hear everything that went down in this matchup, you're going to see exactly what I mean. Let's start with the tone setters, the coaching staff. Calvin Shepard deserves his name etched into this performance. The way he schemed to contain Lamar Jackson was nothing short of masterful. Think about it. Lamar is one of the most dangerous mobile quarterbacks in football, a guy who can destroy defenses with his legs the second they lose discipline. And yet Detroit swarmed him, disciplined in every assignment, playing tight, not over-pursuing, and applying constant pressure. The result? 7 sacks. 7. You don't do that against a quarterback like Lamar unless the scheme is airtight and every defender is locked in. That defensive masterpiece should earn Shepard a permanent spot in the conversation as one of the best leaders on this staff. Honestly, it was one of the finest defensive coaching games we've seen in years, and the players delivered. Derek Barnes, Al-Quadin Muhammad, and the rest of that front seven simply smothered Baltimore. Muhammad in particular was unstoppable, racking up 2.5 sacks and proving once again that this isn't some hot streak. It's who he is now. He's winning one-on-ones, forcing teams to pick their poison. Double Hutchinson and Muhammad feasts. Leave him single-blocked, and he's going to wreck your game plan. With a contract year looming, you better believe he's going to make it impossible for Detroit not to reward him. What's just as impressive is how this team is developing new stars while replacing lost talent seamlessly. Think about the offensive line. Jared Goff wasn't sacked once, 0 times. He looked comfortable in the pocket because guys like Tate Ratledge, Graham Glasgow, and Christian Mahogany, yes, the same Mahogany that was a 6th-round pick, are coming together with incredible chemistry. Outside of a small face mask slip, these young linemen are proving to be the backbone of the team, and every week their continuity grows. Losing veterans like Zeitler and Ragnow early on looked devastating, but now you're seeing what a real Super Bowl window looks like. Talent replacing talent without missing a beat. Speaking of Goff, let's talk about the man himself. Jared Goff is playing quarterback for the Lions with a command that's starting to remind people of legends.
And no, nobody's saying he is Peyton Manning, but you can't ignore the similarities. The way he controls the offense, the way he reads the field, the ice in his veins, it feels familiar. He's been doubted, traded, questioned, and yet here he is, standing tall as maybe the best quarterback in franchise history. Yes, even ahead of Matthew Stafford, and that's not said lightly. Watch him orchestrate this offense, and you'll see why some are starting to whisper that this is a championship-level quarterback running a championship-level offense. But he's not doing it alone. David Montgomery looks reborn this year, faster, more agile, sharper in his cuts, juking defenders, following his blockers with precision. Pair him with Jahmyr Gibbs, and you have what might just be the best running back duo in all of football. Then add Sam Laporta, the reliable tight end who seems to convert every critical down, and a wide receiver room led by Amon-Ra St. Brown, backed up by Jameson Williams and Isaac Tessia. This group is downright terrifying. Honestly, there's an argument to be made that Detroit has the best defensive line, the best receiving core, and one of the most dangerous backfields in the league. Put that all together, and you don't just have a good offense. You have a top-tier, nightmare-inducing unit that no defense wants to face. Flip it back to the defense, and the story is the same. The Lions held Derrick Henry and Baltimore's rushing attack under 100 yards. That's not luck. That's discipline, toughness, and pure execution. Dan Campbell was a wall at the goal line. The linebackers and defensive line carried out every assignment, every rep, exactly the way it needed to be done. And as good as they looked, they're about to get even stronger with Allen McNeil returning soon. Imagine adding that reinforcement to a defense that already just suffocated Lamar Jackson. Of course, no game is perfect. Terry Arnold struggled early, though he started to settle in as the night went on. He's in his 2nd year, and growth is still needed. But fans are hoping he takes that next step soon, because the margin for error shrinks when you're aiming for a Super Bowl. And special teams, let's be real, it's been bad since the Hall of Fame game. Field position was a huge issue against Baltimore, gifting the Ravens great starting spots all night. Last season, Detroit was the best in the league in field position. This year, it hasn't been close. If this team wants to cement itself as a true powerhouse, special teams has to get fixed. No excuses. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, this win is something different. This wasn't a fluke. This wasn't a one-off. This was a team showing its fans and the NFL that they're not just contenders, they're potentially the team to beat. The schedule ahead only reinforces the point. Cleveland has a great defense, but their offense doesn't match up. The Bengals look vulnerable. Kansas City doesn't look like the monster they used to be. And Tampa Bay has to come into Detroit. Tell me why this team can't be sitting at 6-1 very soon. This is a new era for the Detroit Lions, one where fans don't just hope for wins, they expect them. And that's why this game against Baltimore matters so much. It wasn't just about the score. It was about sending a message. And now the question shifts back to you, the fans. After everything you saw in this performance, who was your MVP of the game? Because there are so many deserving names, it's almost impossible to pick one. Drop your thoughts, because this is your team, your moment, and maybe your season. When you really think about what just happened in Baltimore, it almost feels surreal for longtime Lions fans. We're used to being the underdog, the team fighting for scraps of respect, constantly told to wait until next year. But what we witnessed was the exact opposite, a team that walked into another contender's house and dictated everything from the first snap to the final whistle. That kind of dominance doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of culture, leadership, and a roster that is finally stacked with talent at nearly every position. And if you've been following this team, you can feel it in your gut. Something historic might be brewing. Calvin Shepard's defensive blueprint is the kind of thing that coaching clinics will be studying. He didn't just beat Lamar Jackson, he dismantled him. Think about the discipline it takes to spy a quarterback like that, to keep him bottled up without giving up explosive plays. 7 sacks against a quarterback who thrives in chaos? That's unheard of. And what does it tell us? It says the Lions are no longer a defense that just bends and hopes not to break. They're the ones forcing the breaks, the ones dictating how the game unfolds. Shepard didn't just coach his unit, he turned them into a synchronized machine. And it wasn't just the veterans showing out. Young players stepped into roles that nobody expected them to handle this soon. Christian Mahogany, a 6th-round pick, is already proving to be a steal. Tate Ratledge is coming along faster than anyone projected. This offensive line isn't just holding the line, it's building the future. That's the beauty of what Brad Holmes and the front office have done. They've created a roster where losing veterans like Kevin Zeitler and Frank Ragnow doesn't spell doom. Instead, it's just the next man up, and that man is ready. That's how dynasties are built. Constant replenishment, no drop-off in performance. Now, let's zoom in on Jared Goff. The national media doesn't want to admit it yet, but fans in Detroit see it. This guy is special. The poise he shows, the way he commands the huddle, the surgical precision in his throws, he looks like a quarterback who belongs in every MVP conversation. And when you look at his journey, the parallels with Peyton Manning become hard to ignore. He's gone from being doubted and dismissed in Los Angeles to becoming the face of a franchise that's on the rise. He's not just managing games, he's elevating the entire team. And that, right there, is why the Lions are suddenly one of the most dangerous teams in the league. Look at the weapons around him. David Montgomery has transformed himself, running with a balance of power and agility that makes him nearly impossible to stop. Jahmyr Gibbs adds a lightning-fast counterpunch that keeps defenses guessing. Together, they might be the best 1-2 punch in football. Then you add Sam Laporta, who plays beyond his years, always finding the sticks, always moving the chains. And of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is cementing himself as one of the NFL's elite receivers. Throw Jameson Williams and Isaac Tessia into the mix, and you suddenly realize this offense doesn't have a weakness. How do you defend that? You can't. On defense, Al-Quadin Muhammad deserves every ounce of praise he's getting. 2.5 sacks in one game is impressive enough, but the way he did it, with relentless speed and power, shows this isn't a lucky streak. This is a player who's entering his prime, and he's forcing opponents to rethink their entire blocking schemes. And with Aiden Hutchinson constantly drawing double teams, Muhammad is free to feast. That combination is lethal, and when Alam McNeil returns, this line could become downright unstoppable. But let's not sugarcoat it. There are areas that need improvement. Terry Arnold is still finding his footing, and in a league where passing attacks can shred you in seconds, he'll need to grow up fast. And special teams, well, let's just say they've gone from a strength to a liability. Field position has been consistently poor, and against better opponents down the stretch, that could come back to bite. Last year, special teams set the tone for this team. This year, it's dragging them down. If Detroit can fix that, if they can get back to being elite in that phase, then there truly will be no holes left on this roster. So what does all this mean for the road ahead? It means the Lions aren't just winning games, they're setting themselves up to steamroll through the schedule. Cleveland might have a strong defense, but their offense can't keep pace. Cincinnati looks shaky. Kansas City is no longer the invincible juggernaut they once were. Tampa Bay has to come into Ford Field, and we all know what that atmosphere is like when the fans are roaring. If you're being honest with yourself, you can see this team sitting at 6-1, maybe even better. And if that happens, if the Lions keep stacking wins like this, suddenly you're not just talking playoffs. You're talking about the road to the Super Bowl running through Detroit. That's the kind of transformation we're watching in real time. A franchise long written off is now making believers out of the entire NFL. And for you, the fans, it's validation. Decades of heartbreak, of waiting, of being the punchline, and now you're seeing a team that's not just good, but one that could be great, one that could make history. But here's where I want to hear from you. After everything we saw in this game, after all the standouts on offense, defense, and even the coaching staff, who do you think deserves to be called the true MVP of this victory? Was it Jared Goff commanding the offense like a maestro? Was it Calvin Shepard designing the perfect plan to cage Lamar Jackson? Was it Alquadin Muhammad wreaking havoc in the backfield? Or maybe it's the entire offensive line, quietly laying the foundation for everything this team does. Drop your thoughts, because this conversation isn't just about the players, it's about what it means for you, the fans. You've lived through the lows. Now you're seeing the highs. And maybe, just maybe, you're watching the start of something unforgettable.